Hello. 1 2 1 2. Can you hear me? Is that even? Hello. Say hi in the chat if you're there already. Just trying to get this customization. Who blowing knows? Can you hear me? My audio level seems to not be working that well. Let me know if you can hear me in the chat, and if you can't, then I guess that it will just remain empty. What does that mean? Close that. This. Kevin, hello. How far can a man carry a bag of salad? Birkins. Paul, is that you? Hello. We can hear you fine. Excellent. Now I'm going to tap this microphone. Can you tell me if it's coming through this mic? Technical difficulties. I was trying to use my posh mics earlier, but when I was out filming today, I managed to lose the tiny little bit of a technology that attaches it to my laptop, which classic me. Hi, says everyone else. Hello, if you just joined, you can say hi in the chat. These two that have messaged already don't bite. They're lovely people. So yeah, going forward, there's going to be lots of questions in the chat. So yeah, put anything there that you want to know from me. We haven't done this in a while. I used to do this. That's wonky. There we go. I used to do this every week. It's it's been a good sort of like 8 months, I think, since I've done one. That line had me in stitches. How far can I carry? It turns out 52 miles, Paul. And I still had it when I got back the day after, even I was eating blooming sea beet that I'd picked 2 days prior, which, hilarious. But yeah, it is what it is. We're going to be going into why everything went wrong throughout the course of this live stream. I think I've got a pad here that I was meant to write down bullet points on, but you know me, slightly unprepared as always, which is one of the things that went wrong. But yeah, cheers from Hungary. Hello, welcome to the chat. I'm here on the Isle of Wight, which is a little diamond-shaped island off the coast of the UK. Yeah, good to have you on board. But yeah, we're gonna kick off with, I don't know, maybe go through it sort of step by step and see what went wrong along the way, why I was unable to complete the Round the Island challenge. I learned a lot from your videos. Love the content. I'm glad you are getting a lot out of it. Loads more stuff to come in the next few months, by the way. Who is my knife supplier? What, these guys at the back? So that is a Scout's knife from the 1950s from Sheffield. That is an Opinel mushroom knife, and that is an Opinel. I use it for cooking. But I've modified the back of it so it's got like a nice smooth bit rather than that sharp bit at the back, because I've got quite wide hands. So yeah, it's a modified Opinel. Yeah, those are my knife suppliers. I have quite a good collection of sort of foraging knives and stuff, because I use them every day as a tool. But yeah, I was amazed at how positive you were for so long. You know me, Kevin. Up until the last moment, I'll continue to, I don't know. I usually get to a point and then drop. And that is, you can tell that in the videos because it gets dark. I get a little bit manic with the night vision on, and then yeah, it all starts to go pretty bleak pretty quickly. But to be perfectly honest, I've been doing this sort of stuff for, well, I don't know, most of my life at least. So I like to think that I've got a good level head, and I tend to enjoy it when things go wrong. It's one of the reasons why I underprepared for this one. Yeah, because I like the challenge. There is no point really for me in over preparing and being comfortable. I am only truly happy when I'm on an adventure, when things go slightly wrong and I can make decisions to adjust. Now that might sound mental to lots of you. I always prepare enough so I know that I'm safe, but or safe-ish. More on that a little bit later. But the yeah, I like it when things go a little bit wrong, so it keeps me sort of happy and positive. until the complete hypothermia. That was it. Abby got there and she was like, we're skipping to the end, but Abby got there and she was like, I know you wouldn't have called me unless it was a real emergency. And she knows me best. It was not great. My question is, does your knowledge transfer to mainland EU, for example? I would imagine that you could gain a lot more exposure by educating people in other places. So lots of my foraging knowledge is very location specific, and lots of foraging knowledge is I teach people about this landscape that I grew up in, and yeah, it is the thing that I know most about. That isn't to say that some of my knowledge is not transferable to places which are sort of similar. So I think I would be okay, Northern Europe, that sort of thing. But lots of, especially when it comes to fungi and foraging for mushrooms and stuff, lots of foraging is very location specific. So I think I would be okay because I have some knowledge. However, I'm not an expert in other places. I know this landscape like the back of my hand. That's why I teach about it. But yeah, I would love to sort of travel to loads of places. Hungary, I'd like to go to at some point. There's some, I don't know. One day I'll do a field study road trip or something. That'd be really cool. Yeah, the thing is with foraging knowledge is that I don't know, you can know seemingly everything even about your home landscape, and then you can be surprised by something. Or you can find out new things. The learning is never done. So yeah, I don't know. Learning about food culture from around the world really excites me. In fact, it's one of my passion subjects. It's a study called ethnobotany, which is the study of plants and humans and our relationship with each other, with food and medicine and stuff being integral as a part of that. So the the study of ethnobotany is one that I sort of dabble with. It's a passion subject for me. I'm not an expert. I didn't study it at university or anything, but when I can dig out papers and look into the way people are using plants in different parts of the world, then I do. That's one of the things that excites me, mainly because it can get me weird and wonderful recipes that other people don't have. And food makes me happy. What else have we got? Me and my girlfriend were imagining your 75-mile walk, and we decided to visit the island just based on your content. Amazing. It's a beautiful place. I didn't get to show you some of the most beautiful bits of it because I decided to carry on way later than I should have, which we'll also get into in a second. But yeah, some of the most beautiful bits didn't make it into that video. I'm sure if you go back and watch some of my other videos, there's lots of other little hidden bits of the island that you don't get to see in the brochure and stuff that are well worth a visit. This place has atmosphere and magic, but I'm slightly biased. But yeah, I really hope you enjoy your visit. When are you coming? When are you making your visit? That'll be cool. You had a bad day at the office with that challenge, didn't you? Yes, I had a very bad day at the office in the end. Yeah. So it was a good day at the office for me, but a bad day at the office for the challenge, I think. Like I was saying earlier, I sort of come alive when things go wrong. And I know that sounds bad. And I don't condone doing things in order to put yourself in danger. However, I feel happiest when that sort of thing happens. So yeah, it was technically a bad day at the office. It went very wrong at the end of both days. And that was partly self-inflicted. However, yeah, I think overall, in the days after it, when I had time to reflect on it, and then after editing the footage, which was possibly the hardest part of the entire thing, by the way. But yeah, after reflecting on it all, I realized that that was probably one of the best adventures of the last few years. So yeah, that's sort of what stimulated me to want to do it again so soon. Partly because I don't like to be beaten either, even if it is just an arbitrary thing that I've set myself. But yeah, I had a good time in hindsight. Good evening from Cal, says Ben Thomas. Hello, all the way. hang on, gonna get this very wrong. That way, I think somewhere. I don't know. So you're recovering from the ordeal. If you need a cuppa next time you're around, give us a shout. I will, mate. Thank you very much. The I could have done with it at 3 o'clock in the morning when I was going through cows. There were people still locking up pubs and stuff. It was weird, man. You guys party hard over that side of the island. But yeah, the when I went through cows, I had a bit of a moment. I was hobbling through the thing and I found myself outside, what is it, Cows Tandoori? And there was just a picture of Richard Branson sort of staring back at me. And it was a bit inspirational, because, he did a thing in a hot air balloon, I seem to remember. And I was just, hobbling around an island. So, you know, yeah, a weird experience. Soon be spring, dude. It will soon be spring. I'm going to be doing my next one in sort of late winter. The video that I was filming today is all about sort of the late winter transition into spring. Already now it is colder than it was when I went round, especially in the evenings, which is a slight worry, I guess. But yeah, the season is changing really, really fast here, and it will soon be spring. You are correct. But I'm gonna try and do this challenge even when it's cold, in the colder months. Yeah, and if I can't do it this year, then I'll do it next year. But I think this is a thing that I will probably do multiple times going forward, because I don't know. I've become a little bit obsessed with the fact that it's a single pathway and I have knowledge and I have expertise in a subject, but along that pathway, I can never predict what's going to unfold in front of me. So in a former life, I used to be a photographer. I used to be really into photography, and I don't know. There's a photographer called, this is a bit of a tangent, sorry, there might be a few of these, called Henri Cartier-Bresson, and he talked about the decisive moment. So that was the sort of moment that unfolds ahead of you that you have to be ready to capture in order to tell the story or make a good image. Now, if you transpose that onto what I do, which is basically storytelling about the landscape, my my version of that, I guess, is setting myself out on a path. And then whatever goes wrong along the way, I'm sort of the subject of it. Whatever goes wrong along the way, the people that I meet, all of that sort of stuff is serendipitous, and I can never predict it, but it is then my job to sort of capture it. And I think no matter how many times I were to walk that path around the island, there would always be a different story to tell. And that fascinates me. So from a foraging point of view, I know that it's going to get much easier going forward. I underprepared for this one, partly because I wanted to make it difficult for myself, if that makes any sense. So I underprepared for this one. I don't know. There was a bit before it, like I said in the original video, that I lost interest in it. I didn't think that I could do it. I was out on some practice walks, and if you guys are YouTube members, if you're like Kevin and the rest of you that are probably in the chat there, the members will know that I was doing like weekly training walks and stuff. And after a certain point, they just dropped off, and that's because I realized that my body wasn't sort of ready for it. I realized I was getting out of breath. I realized, yeah, it was. I was underprepared on like a physical point of view, and that's for many different reasons. Like I had a kid this year, I haven't been out walking as much, and yeah, it just got to the point where I was like, I can't do this. I'm gonna have to pick it up in the new year or whatever. I'll wait for a weather window where nothing can go wrong. But then a few things happened. So I had a conversation with my girlfriend, and must have been horrible to live with at that point, because I was sort of moping around the house, and it was sad because I wasn't doing the challenge that I'd set myself. So I had a conversation with my girlfriend, and she, as always, is really supportive of the stuff that I do. And yeah, and then suddenly on YouTube, I don't know if you guys have seen it, any of you guys that like adventure stuff, there's a surfer called Mike Lay? I'm not really a surfing fanatic. But yeah, he's friends with Seth Hughes. Any of you forager people will know Seth. But yeah, they're mates. And he posted a video of him just setting out on his bicycle to then cycle and surf around the entirety of the country. And I was watching this video, and he was just a bloke that just did it. And I realized that I'd lost that a little bit in the preparation and the frustration with myself. And that all the other times that I've been round, I've just gone for it because, that's what I do. So yeah, those two things sort of got me closer to the front door. There's a fantastic book called The Doorstep Mile by Alistair Humphreys. It's a good book if you need inspiration on doing stuff at short notice. And basically the premise is that the mile that happens just after you leave your front door. So from me up to the steps where I filmed the "Don't try this at home, kids" segment. Yeah, that is the hardest mile. And after that, then you're in it. And it's true. Like, I was focused and just marched myself into exhaustion from then on in, because the closer you are to home and the less amount of time and distance you've committed to something, the more likely you are to bail out, which, is important, I think. So I recommend that book, Alistair Humphreys, The Doorstep Mile, and also The Backyard Adventurer by Beau Miles, Australian madman who I share some traits in common with, I think. But yeah, those are the two things that got me sort of towards the door, and that's important. But I've forgotten what I was talking about, to be honest. The importance of it became apparent, and I think if I hadn't have stopped training, and if I hadn't have just convinced myself that I couldn't do it, then I probably would have fared a lot better. So that was my first mistake, was the under preparation physically. I wanted to take minimal kit because I live in the south of the UK. At that point, we hadn't had any cold weather through. I know that there is plenty of water to get me round. Water would become a bit of an issue, but for reasons that I couldn't have predicted. But yeah, so I knew that there was going to be water and some food for me to eat. So I just set out in the knowledge that the landscape would provide for me, and my own knowledge would keep me safe, which is a thing that I bang on about a lot, usually with regards to identification and stuff with foraging, is that knowledge is the only thing that can keep you safe. But knowledge of the landscape is part of that as well. I knew there were places that I could get shelter. Every time I made an effort to go forward, I sort of had in mind where I was going to go, even though that kept on changing. So I was making calculated decisions. My dad, very wise man, always goes on about calculated risk. Right. So that is taking risks, because risks are important, but make sure that they are calculated to sort of swing one way or the other. And yeah, that's sort of a thing that's instilled in the back of my head. Chris Fox says, "How's my big toe?" says Kevin. The less said about that, the better. It's gone like the bruising's turned from black to like a really nice maroon color. Like I'd have cushions in that color, it looks like a really posh farrow and ball, deep red. And every time my partner Abby sees it in the morning, she says, "That's going to fall off," which is quite unkind, but very funny. Yeah, I haven't lost it yet. It's still attached. But yeah, it's not doing too good. It's not painful though, so it's fine. And the blister on the back of my foot is purple and scarred, and wasn't good because it was infected. However, it is healed, and because of that blister, I now have a callus on that foot, so it means the next time round will be better, and much easier. Chris Fox says, "Do you ever run foraging courses anywhere else other than the Isle of Wight?" Yeah, I do, and I have previously. So I've led sort of foraging courses up in Norfolk for my mate Danny at the skate retreat. Danny in the Wild, if you haven't checked out her stuff on Instagram, YouTube, any of that stuff, she does loads of foraging content and allotment gardening and stuff. But she's also like an ex-professional skateboarder. So she runs this thing in the woods where sort of, I don't know, skater kids that have got into their late 20s, 30s sort of go for a nice retreat in the woods, and they skate on like this skate park, unlike any you can skate anywhere else in the world. It's surrounded by trees and full of fantastic people. So yeah, I teach there. I teach sort of fermentation and foraging, and also, what did I do? I did string making this year as well. Which is more interesting than it sounds, all of you guys giggling out there. But yeah, I do teach other places. Unfortunately, at the moment, I don't have any in the calendar for this year. However, if anyone out there is watching that needs a forager to teach somewhere, anywhere in the UK, then you can email fieldstudysupply@gmail.com. It's on my website, which I think is in the description below. Because yeah, I don't know. I'm expanding the sort of scope of what I do this year, and I'm always up for teaching anyone that wants to learn. Is yeah, if you can sit through me pointing at stinging nettles and giggling to myself and giving you 160 recipes on what to do with them, then yeah, I'll travel. What else do we know? Glutton for punishment. Yeah, that's me. You know loads about what people should eat. Do you know what you should plant for birds as well? Yeah, I mean, birds, moths, butterflies, things that I really quite like. So lots of the stuff that I do here in my garden and things, I do plantings and stuff specifically for wildlife and for, you know, for that sort of thing. So it doesn't just stop really with edible plants. That's just the thing that I like to teach about. I know lots about other things also, but yeah, I sort of plant out my garden for birds and butterflies and things, and then do surveys and things in the summer in my spare time. That's what I do to relax, is I collect scientific data. The thing that worried me was where you were going to sleep, Kevin. That is a good, well, it's a reasonable thing to worry about. A thing happened to me sort of years ago that I sort of became comfortable with sleeping anywhere as long as I had a Gore-Tex bivy bag. I spent a period of time sort of not having a tent, not going out with a mat or whatever, and making debris beds, really trying to just go back to proper basics. I used to go to this beautiful patch of ash woodland outside where I used to live in Lewes in East Sussex. And I used to just make a debris bed and light a fire and try and sleep. And it sort of recalibrates your fear of sleeping places, I think. I think it was Morse Kahansky, potentially a bushcrafting legend. When he used to take people out, the first thing that he used to do into the wilderness was say, right, we're here now, have a nap. Because as soon as you can get comfortable enough to just have like an afternoon doze in a place, it sort of gets you relaxed enough to be able to make good decisions on what's actually a threat or not. So sleeping in strange places is sort of a thing that I am really comfortable with. But yeah, like you saw, it's the winter. I didn't want to take too many risks with getting caught out in the night with rain, etc. So the first time I was going to sleep, yeah, I don't know. My plan kept on changing. So when I set out, I had the idea of potentially sleeping somewhere near Bembridge, which is where I ate the sausage roll, by the way. So all I needed to do was to get to that point and to cook. However, I had such a brief window of time. I knew that I wasn't going to get round before the weather started coming in, which is what we started to see towards the end. The day after that was also quite horrible. So I sort of pushed myself, and that was one of my many mistakes. Is on the first day I pushed myself. I pushed myself too hard, and I sort of am quite bad at knowing my limits. So what I did was I ate a sausage roll and thought, you know what, I can just carry on forever. And it worked, I guess. If I hadn't have encountered that landslip, which is a bit that my girlfriend has told me off for putting in the video, because I made some bad decisions there. That first landslip that I got lost on, the one towards Priory Bay, as you go round the corner from St Helens, I took a risk with the tide, but it was a calculated risk. Like I said, this didn't make it into the edit because it was hard to show with the footage that I had. But up on the top of that landslip there on my ordnance survey map was a path. I didn't know how steep the landslip was or how freshly it had slipped. So I thought that even if the tide had come in, that I would be able to just get up there and onto the path, which is what I did. But what I didn't take into account is that because of the rainfall that we'd had, it was going to be very slippy. It was going to be moving underneath my feet and coming away in chunks. And yeah, that was one of the big mistakes that happened. Purely because by the time I'd scrambled up and found the path, I was exhausted. My legs, I don't know if you've ever been on slippery clay sort of mud and your legs go this way and that, but the tendon in my groin, sorry, bit graphic, but the tendons in my groin were screaming. So that bit, when I'm going through the woods, I'm dealing with possibly the first sort of bit of pain of the trip that wasn't that headache that I got in the first half of it. And yeah, it took a while for that to settle out. That's why I was so upset when I was going through them woods and I kept on sort of like stubbing my toe and slipping over and stuff, is because it was really pulling at that tendon and was causing more pain. So because I'd pushed on, I then had injured myself. And yeah, I don't know. I managed to keep my spirits up, as you saw. I cut out loads of me just babbling garbage. I started doing things because, I don't know, I was pretending you guys were there, which is another thing that sort of gives me inspiration, is thinking of the people that are going to be watching this eventually. And yeah, so I started just chatting to myself. I was playing Guess the Intro. You guys missed out on me singing the intros to lots of sort of mid-noughties emo classics. Maybe I'll do a bloopers reel for the members at some point, and I'll keep on threatening it. But yeah, yeah, I managed to keep my spirits up, and that kept me going. It's only until I got past Ryde and managed to get out of town that it started to go bad. I started to crash badly, as in those bits that I cut together with the like me wandering. There's like an hour-long bit of footage just where I had where is it? I had this small camera that I've got, this action cam that I filmed loads of the stuff on. I had this just by my side, and you can hear what I'm sort of saying to myself in order to get myself to carry on going. So like the bit where it said, I don't know if you remember it, the end of the first one with that tragic bit of piano music that almost made me cry when I heard it. But yeah, when I was stumbling, that's part of like an hour that it took me to make those 2 miles up. And it was harrowing to watch back because that isn't me. But yeah, I don't know. It was really difficult. But I stretched myself too far on day one. That was one of my biggest mistakes. I want to go back and talk about what happened with the first section of it when I got that headache, because lots of you have been super helpful in the comments with that. But yeah, like I was saying, Kevin, with the places to sleep, at the end of that, past Quar Abbey, I was going to get an hour's sleep on the beach near the ferry terminal. But then by the time I got there, I had just been through 2 miles of like losing consciousness and slipping sort of in and out of sleep, standing up and almost falling into hedges, that I was slightly worried. So I wanted to be around people a little bit. So I made it to the ferry terminal, and I mentioned it at the beginning of the second video, but the bloke came up to me that was working there. If you ever watch this, thank you so much. A gentleman, and I mean that. He because it was the middle of the night, he came walking towards me and he was like, "Are you all right, mate?" Because I was walking like I was, drunk or on drugs, I think. So then I explained what was going on, and he showed me inside, pointed at the coffee machine, and managed to get himself a coffee and some sachets of sugar out in order to raise my blood sugar levels. And then he came after me, and he was trying to give me Quality Street from their staff room, and just like really checking in to make sure that I was okay. And it wasn't the first time that I'd witnessed that sort of kindness just on the way round. Sorry, man. I am getting a little bit choked up, but some of it is this horrible cold that I've got. I'm going to have to blow my nose in a minute. But yeah, that wasn't the first time that I'd witnessed complete kindness. There are a few people that I'd met along the way before, um, but then it wasn't the last either. We'll get onto that in a minute. But one of the things that I've really found with going round the island is just the amount of care that there is, and how important it is to sort of show that. I think, um, yeah, I don't know. I was taken aback by it. But yeah, like I say, I wanted to be around people. So my first sleeping spot was unviable. So I thought the best port of call would be to go to Newport in the middle of the island, like you saw on the thing, and then get a night bus. Initially, it was going to be to East Cowes, which would then skip a huge segment of the walk. Like I'm missing about 5 miles in the round the island thing. But yeah, that section of the walk. Has anyone out there actually done the round the island walk? I'm going to catch up on the comments in a minute. But the round the island walk, there is a section from Fishbourne or Wootton to East Cowes, which goes along the edge of a road. And yeah, at that point where I'd been stumbling and sort of in and out of, well, consciousness, I didn't think it was the best idea without any high vis or anything like that to walk along the road to East Cowes through Whippingham. So I made the call to get the bus into Newport, the night bus, and wait there. And then I was going to go to East Cowes and wait for the chain ferry. But then I thought, if I get to Cowes now, then I'll just be able to carry on. And that is part of my madness, I think. Having talked to other people about what happened, people that will watch the video and stuff, you see me when I get to Cowes at the start of the second episode, and I'm like, I'm just going to see how far I can get. I'm in a lot of pain. And watching that back sort of confirmed a few things about myself that I believed but hadn't really seen, in the flesh. There's a certain type of madness, I think, where when I'm focused on something, there is nothing else. So regardless of pain, exhaustion, whatever, I will just go. Give me something to do and I will do it, sort of thing. So yeah, I got to Cowes and just thought I was just going to carry on, but then made the decision to sleep there on the seafront, because the seafront has those lovely sort of, lean-to bits. Sorry about that, everybody. Yeah, my family has come down with that dreaded lurgy that everyone's got, that sickness. So yeah, I might sound a little bit bunged up. But yeah, I slept in that place on Cowes seafront, and it was a good enough place. I think I got like an hour and a half, 2 hours sleep there. So when you're watching the second episode, the thing that is even more mental is that I'd walked for 17 hours straight the day before with minimal food. And we might try and break down the calorie intake in a minute as well. But that first day, I'd walked for 17 hours straight, minimal food, 26.8 miles or something, and then slept for an hour and a half, and then carried on, did another 20 something, 25, I think it was, miles. Yeah, with like, Abby gave me a care package, but like there really wasn't much that had gone in. So yes, it is. I don't know. I'm impressed in what my body can do, which is a thing that I I was worried about before going. If you watch the preparations video back, I complained about my knees. My knees were not an issue. Complained about my fitness. My fitness was not as good as it could be, but my attitude and the stuff going on up here meant that I carried on going, and that's the best kind of fitness that you can have, I think. Anyway, I'm going to get back to some comments for a minute, and then we will rejoin the story. Like I say, any questions, put them in the chat, and yeah, let me know if you enjoyed it and stuff. And don't be afraid to ask questions if you're out there watching, because I used to do this all the time. We used to do a live stream every sort of Friday and Saturday night, and I love answering your questions. It sort of makes me feel alive. If you're going to do it again in trainers and dampness, try some Gore-Tex trainers. So those Merrells are Gore-Tex. Yeah, they just had holes in. And I made some bad decisions and stepped in some puddles and stuff. But I will be, you know, getting another second-hand pair of something waterproof. Don't you worry. One of the things that might have come across is that I was very unprepared kit-wise. It's not because I don't have kit. It's because I wanted to go minimally. Yeah, yeah, I'm going to be fine next time round. Don't worry. We may visit the island in the summer. Top 3 places to visit. Well, it depends what you're into, perfectly honestly. If you're into sort of wide open landscapes and big stretches of beach with dramatic cliff line, then the West Wight is good. Compton Bay, Brook, all out that way near freshwater, which you didn't get to see on the videos, which is the bit that's missing. That is possibly the most breathtaking bit of the entire island, if you ask me. But yeah, that's a good place to visit. There's loads of stuff historically. Yeah, it really depends what you're into. Love to see some biodiversity content. Yes, please. Even how you do surveys in your back garden. I think there's a real need for authentic knowledge on YouTube. Really? You want to see me first thing in the morning in the summer, come out in my dressing gown with a cup of tea and look at some moths? Don't answer that. But yeah, no, I would love to. I might do some short form stuff on that this year. So bats, moths and stuff, because it's all stuff that I'm doing anyway. And you guys have asked for it before. My subscribers have definitely asked for it before. So would you come and do a video up in Scotland? If so, can I accompany you? Never been foraging, never been camping. Yeah, it sounds like a laugh. I enjoy how relaxed I feel watching your videos. Amazing. I'm not sure I would want to take you on your first sort of camping foraging experience up in Scotland. There are probably people that are better suited to do that than I am. But yeah, like I would love to come and sort of teach up in Scotland or any of that sort of thing. It's a place that I've never been. Can you believe that? I have never been that far north. But soon, hopefully. Like I say, field study road trip. I always threaten it, but it's getting closer. I just to let you guys know, I no longer have a day job, and I'm sort of doing this full time, trying to make it work this year. So yeah, look forward to loads of stuff coming up soon. More videos for you to watch, etc. I feel like I like the series, says John Morfez. I do hope you retry it in the summer and give yourself more chance of doing it. I will be doing it in the summer. Yeah, hopefully maybe bring some friends along with me in the summer and have a good time. If we're talking about daylight hours, I could stop walking at like 8:30 p.m. and then spend a couple of hours fishing, potentially get something, most likely get nothing because I am cursed. But yeah, I will be attempting it at another point of the year. I'm going to be doing it again in a few weeks' time, I think. The videos for that won't come out until sort of early spring because of the amount of time it takes me to sort of sort through the footage, because I had 3 cameras on me. Yeah. It was crazy to have to edit that together. But I am going to give myself more of a chance, because I think one of the things that got missed out because I was so focused on getting the challenge done walking wise and sort of getting miles underneath my belt, as I kept on saying, is that I forgot to share lots of knowledge with you. And I think that there needs to be a balance of both of the things. So I did think, and I had a chat with one of you guys in the comments about sort of gamifying it a little bit. So maybe doing like a forfeit or whatever. If I take a small piece of food or like a bit of kit or something, then I lose something or I have to go back a few miles. But I will think about that because it will not make it easier, but it'll make it more interesting, I think, for me. But yeah, I would retry it again in the summer. You don't have to ask me twice. Walking around the Isle of Wight in the summer months. Oh, yes, please. It's one of the most gorgeous places on the planet. Uh, apart from passenger, where do you get your overshirts and the rest of your gear from? Lots of it is sort of hand-me-downs from my brother because he likes clothes, etc. This was a Christmas present. This is from Folk. Um, but yeah, no, passenger got in touch with me, and I'm part of their Roamers collective now. So yeah, just I'm gonna make a few bits for them going forward in the future. It's good gear. It lasts. I mean, I've got the multicolored backpack that you might have seen over on my Instagram. Uh, and yeah, man, that thing is pretty rugged. I've had it for like 2 months now. So, you know, um, I, yeah, if it's stuff like that, I'll only ever sort of wear it if I think that it's good enough. You know what I mean? So I thought I'd put it to the test. But yeah, like I am a firm believer in buying secondhand clothes that are built to last. You know what I mean? So making the most of the disposable culture that we live in by, when someone thinks that there's wear and tear on a shirt on, one of the marketplaces that you can get. I will usually spend a lot of time, like looking at stuff and buying the thing that I've wanted for years. But yeah, like I like canvas things and leather things and stuff that is built to last. Ever so sorry. Oh, should have muted for that. But like I say, I'm just getting past the worst bit of this illness. If I were to have done this yesterday, I was streaming from everywhere. Awful it was. But yeah, it's quite dispiriting when you have to backtrack. Painful. Happy you decided to go home. Yeah, we'll get onto that in a second. I can't imagine that feeling, the drifting in and out. Clearly pushed you through a lot. Yeah, like I don't know. I don't. Yeah, I haven't really been through that before. So it was weird, and watching it back was horrible. But yeah, Gore-Tex trainers don't last forever. Mine leak after about 3 months. Yeah, I mean, I usually, and I hammer my footwear quite hard, as you can imagine. I can usually get a year out of a pair of trail running shoes, which is quite bad. So that's why I sort of intersperse it with my like leather boots and stuff, like Red Wings and you know, um, yeah. So stuff that I can look after and I know will stand up to a lot of abuse. I sort of juggle between the two of them. It's about knowing when to sort of utilize your kit. I think can recommend Hoka trainers. Get a Speed Goat Gore-Tex. I had the last time I went around the island, I did it in Hoka Kahari 2s, I think, with a big chunky sole on the back, the boots, the like high top ones. Comfortable, like the most comfortable shoe I've ever worn. They don't last long because they're not built to last. But they are so well cushioned and things like it's like walking on clouds. But yeah, good recommendation, I think. I hiked Ben Nevis without ever hiking before. Amazing. 2 days notice solo. I felt as you did physically and mentally, but it was well worth it. Every Monroe since has been child's play. Yeah, you went big first off. That's amazing. That's really, really, really cool. Have you seen Hayes Outdoors when he went and brewed a beer up on top of Ben Nevis with Northern Monk? That was pretty cool. I really like that video. Any other big video ideas? What do you guys think? I'm always up for suggestions. There is a content plan going forward for the next few months, including I sort of teased it in the last episode. I was like, do you reckon a 9-foot dinghy will fit in there? And and that is because I have a 9-foot dinghy, which is a historical artifact that I will be refurbishing on the channel and then taking on a fishing trip. Yeah, so that's coming up. There are loads of things that I've been meaning to do for the last 3 years that I've always talked about on the channel. That I'm sort of tying up loose ends. So I'm going to do string making courses. This might sound boring to you if you're just into the adventure stuff, but it will all come in handy. Willow lobster pots, you know, all of this sort of stuff that I have going on in the background, but never got around to making a video of. It's coming up. Don't you worry. But yeah, more mini series like this, a few more challenges. Hopefully I'll get to collaborate with a few more people. Yeah, I have really enjoyed every sort of collaboration that I did last year. Yeah, all the gear guys, that was an amazing day out. What a pair of people, man. So funny, as you can imagine. So yeah, that was really good. Collaborating with Danny again was really good. We actually went down to the UK Truffle Festival, me, Danny, and Chris, and Abby, and my son as well, and obviously Fern, my truffle dog. But yeah, we went down to the UK Truffle Festival, and I did make a film of that, but it was really hard to edit together the actual truffle hunting segment. So I'm going to sit down and do that at some point, so you get to see me compete in the UK's truffle hunting competition, which is funny and fun, I think. But yeah, like there's loads of stuff coming up this year. Any ideas for challenges and stuff, and also stuff that you want to learn, just let me know. You can reach me here. You can reach me on Instagram at fieldstudy_. Yeah, just I don't know. I have big plans for the channel for the next year, and it's going to lead on to some good things. But I'm always up for suggestions, because obviously you guys are the thing that makes it all work, by interacting with stuff. And if I'm making videos that you guys don't want to watch, then I'm not doing my job properly, I don't think. I need to share with you guys all the stuff that's going on in here, I think, because you appreciate the stuff that I know. And yeah, that's what makes me feel good about life. Vicky, hello. Long time no speak. We haven't done a live stream in ages, have we? How are you? Happy New Year, by the way. Thanks. Glad you like the mini-series. We came to one of your foraging walks, Eloise. Made pizzas and we loved it. No way, at Cibex. That was really cool. You gave me one of your chilies for the seeds, and I can't for the life of me remember what it was. You're asking a man that breeds chilies about the chili seed. What was that? It was this year, I think, and I don't know. I think the chili seed that I gave you was Supernova, which is a variety of chili that was bred on a space station orbiting the planet by the Chinese Space Agency, whatever it's called, can't remember. But they found out that the plants sort of they can mutate, and you can get to a new sort of cultivar of something quicker if you do it in zero gravity. So that is a chili which was bred in space and then is now grown here on Earth, which is pretty cool. So yeah, it's called Supernova. It's got a number that goes with it. Can't remember what it is, but yeah, you can look forward to growing that this year. I crossed that with one called a Zimbabwe Black last year. So I'm currently growing on generations of one of my own cultivars, which is, is a mixture of those two things. Pretty cool. What do I think about barefoot boots? I've never used them, so I can't really comment on them, to be honest. I have friends that absolutely swear by them. Paul, if you're in the chat, this is one for you. My mate Paul, that I used to work in the brewery with, he swears by barefoot shoes. He uses like hobby bears, I think they are. But they're like Vivo Barefoot, any of these barefoot ones. But I don't know anything about that. That's not really my expertise. If you want to learn about foraging and barefoot stuff, there is a guy on Instagram that I've been chatting to recently called the Barefoot Forager. Lives down in Brighton, and yeah, like loads and loads of good recommendations and stuff. He does courses as well, which is cool. So go and follow him on Instagram. Kevin, I sailed my dinghy for the first time in a Force 9 gale. Wouldn't surprise me. One of my only ever sailing experiences, Kevin, was in a Force 9. I actually wrote a book about it once. What year was that? It was like 2016. 2016, I got funding to write a book from like this local arts council thing. And I wrote like this little novella because I was obsessed with short form at the time about my first ever sailing experience. Which was on a boat called Thermopylae. And yeah, we went out into a Force 9 and we had to help out another vessel which was in danger. Its mast had snapped in half. So we had to make sure that they were okay until the Coast Guard could come. And I've never felt so sick and exhilarated in my life. So it's a big sort of formative memory for me. But would I do it in my 9-foot sailing dinghy that I have currently out there that needs sort of sanding down and varnishing? No, definitely not. I wouldn't take that much of a risk. I've got a son now. I'm not allowed to. Colin Big Colzo G. Sorry if I got that wrong. Some big fishing trips would be great. Also love a bit of rock pool, under rock foraging at the beach. Yes, could be another video idea. Love the channel. Yeah, like one of my most watched videos is the like how to cook limpets video. So yeah, like I would like to do some more of that sort of stuff. There's some seaweed stuff coming up as we go through into the springs. It starts to regrow, which will be pretty cool. But yeah, I need to start making use of the coast a little bit more because it is a big part of the landscape that I live in. So I can definitely teach you a little bit more about that and take you on some foraging adventures at the coast. That would be pretty cool. If you watch the All the Gear video, you know I got that little lobster out. Little Lucky the lobster, the little thing like that. It's more of a longestine, really. But yeah, I could take you guys along with me, like shrimp trapping or whatever. Maybe make another collaboration with All the Gear, Ethan and Jack. That was a fun video on their channel. Something possibly to do with boats and foraging on the shores. What, take Bept out, do you reckon? I wouldn't even, I don't know if I trust that vessel. But yeah, I don't know. They said they were up for something in the future. So hopefully we'll link up again. They're a good laugh. We had a really good day. I was really sad when they left. We had a really good time. So hopefully we can do something again in the future. But yeah, more collaborations this year. I really enjoyed meeting up with Marek. Yeah, if you guys saw that video, taking him mushroom foraging, he's a very funny man, really sort of kind and generous with his knowledge and time as well. So I like Marek. So maybe do something again with him in the future. If you are watching this and you've watched the Round the Island series, go and check out Cool Dudes Walking Club, which is Marek, who I'm talking about, that I collaborated with back in the autumn. It's his sort of walking channel, and he is currently going around the island in stages, so you get to see more of it. And he's much funnier than I am. So yeah, you get to see more of the island and the beautiful sort of coastline and stuff. So if you're thinking about making a trip here, watch that first, I think. He's done it before. That first one was a really good watch as well. John Morfez says, I really like your videos. Thank you. Sometimes when I can't sleep, I put them on and it helps me to fall asleep. I shall take that as a compliment. I don't know, some of the older ones, I really like the sort of slow nature of them. I'm obsessed with sort of slow TV. I've got quite a fast brain and I don't really switch off. So yeah, I'm glad you like it. I'm glad that I can help you relax. That's a really nice thing to be able to do for people. Supernova, says Eloise. Yeah, I think it's that. Like I had 2 varieties I think I brought with me on that foraging course. And it's probably Supernova that I gave you. Actually, no, I think I only bought Supernova. But yeah, really good chili, super prolific. So grow that this year. I'd start sowing it in like February, March. If you don't have grow lights, if you do have grow lights like I do down here, then you can start now. But yeah, grow that this year and save the seed and give it out to people because, you know, it's a good chili to have. Flying Gerbil, hello. Disregarding the legality of it, oh goodness, what are you going to ask? Do you think you'd be able to live off the land indefinitely, including hunting and fishing? It would be difficult, as it's always been difficult, and does rely on sort of luck, preparation, and knowledge. But I think if I was in a community of people that could, help out, then I would be fine, potentially. Um, it's interesting you're talking about the legality of it. So there are various things that I could have used around the island at the moment in order to, keep me going. Lots of sort of like staple foods and things that I really could have used. However, the legality of me harvesting them is not something that I would feel comfortable with putting on the channel and like, basically teaching people to do. So there are definitely things that I had to leave behind that could have meant that I completed it. So one of the things that is another factor into why I couldn't complete it this time round was the sort of like ownership of things, the sort of legality of uprooting things, which exists for a very good reason. And yeah, also the legality of sort of like felling trees and taking a saw with me. So there are things that if it was like a survival situation, that I would have been absolutely fine. Yeah. If you've come on my courses, then you'll probably know the tree that I would have cut down. It may make an appearance in the next one, fingers crossed. Probably not for that reason, but another reason that, again, if you come on one of my courses, then you'll probably know all about. I'm back. So, disregarding, done that one. Happy New Year, says Vicky. Looking forward to seeing what plans you have for the channel. Truffle hunting sounds like fun. Yes. So I really wanted to make some more truffle hunting content in the woods and stuff. It's just very difficult at the moment. But yeah, the truffle festival video will be coming at some point. I will release it. But it was a really good day out. Really nice to hang out with. Well, loads of people really. Yeah, see a few new faces as well. It's very, very cool. I think it would depend on where in the world you were regarding if you could live off the land and whether you're allowing for preserving food for the winter. That's a big thing, is the preparation of things, I think. Yeah, it's one of the most important things, I think, if you're trying to subsist on your own, without sort of food supply networks and stuff, is preservation, longevity, planning, all of this sort of stuff. That yeah, you would have to think about. Danny Chard Hewitt, hello. It's always good to get more knowledge about the outdoors and what mushrooms and plants are safe. Yes, glad you agree. Yeah, that's basically my job, I guess now. Yeah, I do this full time. So if you guys need any specific knowledge on anything, then always reach out to me. This is my focus. But yeah, like whatever you want to know. London Miniature literally has every kind of foraging and fishing opportunities. Interesting. The island has also been described as sort of a microcosm of England. It's one of the reasons that I like teaching ecological stuff here, is because we have so many different types of habitat. So you don't have to drive for 3 hours to get from one sort of a very different patch of countryside to another, which is cool. Everything's 20 minutes apart on the Isle of Wight. But yeah, it would be cool. I'd love to go to the Isle of Arran. I've heard a lot about it. My girlfriend's grandma she used to be a teacher. She used to take school trips up there all the time. And yeah, she always talks about it fondly. Tells me lots of stories of adventure. Lynn, hello, how are you? Surprised as soon as I saw your choice of shoes. Yeah, mate, sorry. I laughed out loud at the end of part 2 when you said you were going to do it again. Well, you know me, and yeah, I don't know, a bit mental. Worried for you when you were ill. Yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute, I think. Pressure cooked some birch polypore, Kevin. Yes, amazing. Made ice cubes of the liquid. It might just be my imagination, but every time I've started a cold this winter, I put 2 cubes in hot lemon and it helps. Yeah. I have some birch polypore tea on the go at the moment. I've sort of been drinking that, and my girlfriend hasn't been drinking it. And sorry if you're watching this, Abby. She's much worse off than me right now. So yeah, that medicinal mushroom surely goes a long way. Right, let's get back into sort of day two, what went wrong. And again, like I said, I'd had like an hour's sleep, an hour and a half, 2 hours sleep. So yeah, I don't think I was making the best decisions when I first set off. I should have cleaned that blister. Like I checked it in the morning and it was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. Were I on camp or anything like that, I would have done something to treat that. But I just wanted to get going. The Yeah, something kicked in. It's just like I need to go now. Well, that was a mistake, and it meant that I experienced more pain than I should have, and also it took me longer to recover than I should have. So that was one of the big mistakes in the morning. Um, but at that point, we'd already been past Sausage Roll Gate, which I guess we haven't talked about. Um, yeah. In fact, let's backtrack. Episode one, my headache. Lots of you guys have been really you've been really helpful in the comments telling me what you think it might have been. There was one bloke today saying it sounds like you ate too many wild edible leaves and not anything else, which is hilarious. Um, but and definitely from a person that clearly doesn't know what they're talking about. But yeah, quite funny nonetheless. The amount of leaves that I ate that day was quite a lot, but like no more than like a big salad bag of like mixed stuff. So definitely wasn't a symptom of that. However, some of you have said maybe caffeine withdrawal, and some of you have said maybe low blood sugar, and both of those things could be it. Like when I had my fizzy drink, I picked straight back up. It didn't get rid of the headache, but I felt less close to death. So sugar could have been a part of it. Caffeine could definitely be a part of it. I do drink a lot of coffee as a human being. So I don't know. Next time around, someone said that I should take coffee with me, but that feels like a cheat. I might get some of that caffeine gum that footballers have, just so I can ignore it, but I know that I'm also not ingesting anything and ruining the challenge. How does that sound? Dehydrated, says Kevin. I don't think so. So I I may not have drunk that much water, as in I kept on running out of water. But if I think about the amount that I had drunk up until that point, it was fine. Past that, it was not fine. So that bit that you saw when I was getting towards Ride, and I sort of almost cried at that dribbly tap near Apley Tower. Yeah, that point, dehydration was getting to be an issue. But if you think about it, I walked 20 miles, etc., and should have stopped and recuperated then. But at that point, I had had a big drink when I was in Bond Church just after I'd eaten my delicious hot dog flavored leaves on the beach. So I'd had a big drink. I'd like downed my water and then refilled the water bottle from that beautiful little spring in Bond Church. I had drunk a lot at the spring previously to that. I'd drunk from that fountain in Ventnor. So up until that point, I don't think it was dehydration. I also had a big bit to drink when I stopped at that tap in Shanklin, which is where I filled up my water bottle last. But I had a bit to drink there. It would have been less than I would have liked to have drunk in a day, but up until that point, I was doing quite well. The amount that I drank after that was when it became an issue, I think. So I don't think the headache was to do with dehydration. But yeah, who knows these things? We'll only know next time round, I think. Maybe take some electrolytes next time. I mean, yeah, part of me feels like it will be cheating though. That's how mad this has got in my head. Like I need to do it, but I need to do it properly. And honestly and properly is the truth of the matter. But yes, the headache was really quite bad, and I was retching and on the edge of vomiting, which was also weird. Abnormal, I think. Like an abnormal thing for my body to do to me. There we go. So yeah, that was abnormal. And I think next time I go round, I will potentially, like I say, have a few sort of game rules, to make it interesting. If any of you out there watch Geo Wizard, do you watch Geo Wizard? He does the straight line mission. He does like he walks across the country in a straight line, and that means hopping fences and going through stupidly crazy places and farmyards and things. But yeah, so the thing that he does is he can deviate off of that straight line and he gets sort of like bronze, silver, or gold. I guess you could gamify it like that, and then do a score afterwards. Or what I was thinking is I could take some like fruit leather or some of my preserved things that I've got here knocking around with me in case my blood sugar does dip. So not stuff that's going to fill me up. I'm not taking full meals with me. But if I cave, if I give up and eat it, then I lose a piece of equipment, or I have to walk backwards for like a mile. Think about how, if we think about the second day, if we think about how bad I was towards the end, if then I'd had to go back and add another mile, it would make it much more difficult. And I think that could be fun. Like I say, I love this sort of stuff. So yeah, like there will be ways that I'm gonna mitigate having to abandon it next time. There are going to be things that will keep me on track. And also, like I said in the episode that came out last week, there's a certain amount of me looking after myself that I need to do. It's becoming more apparent that I'm not as young as I was. So especially with things like that and taking risks with, blood sugar levels dipping and all of that sort of stuff, I need to just be a little bit more careful, I think. So I will take some contingency food, but it will cost me if I eat it. But yeah, I'm still hashing out the plans for that. And you will find them in the next video that I do when I go around again, which will be, I don't know, in the spring it'll probably come out. It'll be a late winter, early spring sort of thing. Great effort. I think you gave it your all and challenged yourself. An old rugby coach of mine had any physical task, injuries are inevitable, but every injury is a lesson in disguise. It's true. Yeah, it's incredibly wise dude. But yeah, it's the act of getting out there and doing it. I think I found sitting in the house and worrying about what might go wrong more painful than the actual pain of my feet disintegrating and, me almost getting hypothermia. But yeah, how could I get more calories, says Kevin? I eat hawthorn berries and sloes, but you'd have to eat hundreds. You certainly would. There's not much in the way of calories out there at the moment. However, there are things that could up my calorific intake. So one of the biggest things that went wrong was the sewage spills out into the ocean. So you saw on the video me looking at the Surfers Against Sewage map, and everything was discharging sewage into the ocean. And that really messed me up, because there, along that bit of coast, there's limpets, there's razor clams, there's cockles. There is protein. There is, they're not highly calorific or fatty, but they would have kept me going, or at least filled me up. So there were things that I could then not forage for. Also, if you think about when I did it coming up to the shortest day, and I was under strict instructions not to be ill for my son's first Christmas. So yeah, there was a bit of that running in the back of my head as well. But one of the things that I could do in order to get more calories is spend more effort on fishing and creating ways of catching things. But yeah, that would mean potentially slowing down a little bit, spending more time in places and doing it over a few more days, which is another thing I didn't have the luxury of doing this time around, because I was gifted just like a few days in order to make it round, because of family commitments and stuff. So next time, hopefully, I don't know, further down the line, we'll make more provision for it, and I'll be able to spend more time in a place and definitely spend more time getting more calories in. So the yeah, the next time round is going to be much more interesting to watch, I think. And yeah, a real celebration of the landscape. Seen £10 challenge by Geo Wizard. Yeah, I watched the one he did in Austria. Was it Austria the other day? That was pretty cool. I get an awful headache if I don't eat enough over a 24-hour period, says Vicky. I found that tomato soup gets rid of my headaches almost instantly. That's probably because of the sugar in it, isn't it? So tomato soup is made using a gastrique, which is vinegar and sugar, and then you add your tomato into it. That's why Heinz tomato soup tastes good. It's like sweet and sour. So yeah, that's probably the sugar that's helping you out there. Black Dog, hello. Just chiming in to say failure is a great way to learn for next time. Thank you for saying that. I truly think winter foraging is hard mode though. Yeah. I thought if I start at the hardest mode, then it can only get easier. Yeah, then I can do most of my learning first up and then, you know, focus on making it fun throughout the course of the rest of the next year. So yeah. But thanks for reassuring me. You know what I mean? I can feel a bit crazy sometimes when yeah, I don't know. It's the thing. Yeah, failure's a great teacher. It's been said about 3 or 4 times in this chat, and I truly believe it. It's that quote from episode 1 when I was quoting "It's a good year," by the way, that movie, with Russell Crowe and Marion Cotillard and Albert Finney that I was quoting in the depths of pain when I was on that landslip. But yeah, a man learns nothing from winning. The act of losing, however, can elicit great wisdom. Drink. I love that film. I enjoyed the videos nonetheless. Thank you. I tried to make them enjoyable. It's yeah, it took me so long. I ended up with like 9 to 10 hours footage from each day because I had 3 cameras on the go all at once and then a battery pack that was charging. You can notice if you watch it back where the camera changes, but charging the camera that had run out of battery and then just going between all of them. And then obviously the night vision stuff. So yeah, like I don't know. It was a lot to edit, but I'm glad you enjoyed it. I really enjoyed sort of putting it together and trying to make it a true reflection of the adventure. I got the footage back and I started watching it through, and it just felt like me wandering around the island, just muttering to myself. So I turned around to my partner and was just like, it's going to be so boring. But then when I started putting it together and found the story of the thing is, yeah, that's when it started coming together, which was pretty cool. A simple GoPro setup with a few shots of B-roll would make things easier. Yeah, but you know me, I love cameras. I was even thinking of bringing my big camera with me next time, making it super cinematic, and then like a drone as well. So this is the little action cam. Real dark ND filter on it at the moment, but this is the DJI Nano that I took with me. It's pretty good. I quite like it. It's waterproof and it links up with my microphones easily. So that made it nice and simple. I could have done the whole thing on this for sure. But yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't have wanted to have to stop in order to recharge it and then stop, etc. Because yeah, it's not got a removable battery. But I will be using this again. It's really good. I was using it today to film the video that I've got coming out soon, and it sort of goes on this magnetic necklace like this and just goes there, so I can do point of view stuff. So I've been enjoying playing with that. Like, having been like a photographer and filmmaker for ages, I've rarely ever played with anything this sort of like wide angle. So learning about it is interesting. So hopefully, I mean, this probably doesn't matter to the rest of you, but being like an ex-photographer and like art fan, the composition of things really matters to me from like a storytelling perspective. So I'm getting better at composing with this camera, and I've really enjoyed the challenge of learning to compose better with it. But yeah, Wayne the Ratman, no way. Hello, mate. How are you? Flatting cows. So next time round, message me. Bed and shower is available. You legend. Thanks for watching, by the way. I mean, yeah. Hopefully, I'll catch up with you at some point. I don't work at White Knuckle Brewery anymore. But I'm sure I'll see you around. But yeah, that's really, really cool. I might take you up on that. Cheers. Double socks to prevent blisters is an excellent shout. I've actually got some 1,000 mile socks. Um, you know, the ones with the inners that sort of slide up against each other, so then you don't get blisters. But you know, all of these things. Don't worry, I've got all the gear. I just didn't take it with me. Um, Wandering around the Isle of Wight muttering to himself, boring. That's exactly what we signed up for. Maybe I should release like a 20-hour long form thing as like a stream of consciousness. Nah, definitely not. That's a little bit too art house, I think. No one's going to sit through that. But yeah, that's the real deal. Good call. This is all interesting, and I'd like to do it too on an electric bike. Yes, mate, do it. Cycling on the island is fantastic. Lots of people just come here to cycle around the perimeter. I've thought about doing it not on an electric bicycle, but doing it on one of my bicycles at some point as well. So maybe I'll do that as a you know, as a different version of this further on down the line, and cycle and, you know, see how far I can get on a 1938 rally sport that weighs more than me. That again is a challenge of its own. But at least when I got to where I was going, I'd have more time to sort of fish and stuff, I think. But yeah, come down, do it on an electric bicycle. You can rent them from down here if you don't want to bring yours down. There are loads of places that do rentals. And yeah, let me know if you need any recommendations on Airbnbs and stuff, because there's loads of cool little places hidden away. You can even stay in the submarine from The World Is Not Enough. How's that? It would make a very relaxing dog calming video. It would, I guess, apart from me singing to myself might set the dogs off, to be perfectly honest. Mm. All right, so where have we got to? We haven't even got to the mushrooms yet. So on day 2, Abby came out and met me. You have to realize that this was sort of a holiday for me at the same time. I know I was creating the challenge video, but I've been working flat out since I quit my day job. I've been working pretty much 6 to 7 days a week, loads of late nights, trying to, you know, get loads of stuff in order. So I needed this as a break, and also having a new family and stuff, lots of that, you know, I don't know. So at that point, when I realized that I wasn't going to be able to do it on just wild food, I was focused on having fun. So at least I would come back from it, you know, just happy. So she came out and what was it? It was a Bounty bar, one of my favorites, by the way. Bounty bar, 2 boiled eggs, a parcel of roast lamb, and what else? I can't remember what else there was there, but like a nice little food kit that kept me going. And I was really grateful for that. And then I went to Newtown Creek, which is one of my favorite places on the island. It's a beautiful place that I recommend going to if you like that sort of thing. But yeah, I went there and I sat there for a little bit too long. I realized that when I set off from there, my muscles had cooled down quite a lot, which was why when I got past Shalfleet, you see me hobbling up the longest road in the world. Yeah, that was real pain there. Like that was bad. I'm actually a little bit thankful, even though I'm quite annoyed that the coastal path got diverted and I didn't have to go all the way around and then across the across the shingle at Hampstead, even though that is one of the most gorgeous bits of the island as well, and I love it. I think at that point, I mean, I would have been sleeping in that bus shelter in Yarmouth. But yeah, so I was in quite a lot of pain. But if you remember when I first set off, I knew that on day 2, I was going to get to some places that would be better suited for foraging for mushrooms. And that is because that bit that I found the Bluets in is a place that I forage regularly. And is a place that I know produces. It is good old woodland, coastal woodland with a good mix of trees, which means that you get different species fruiting at different times of year. And it's sort of one of my most reliable spots, I think. So I had faith that there was going to be something there. What I wasn't expecting to find was a blooming cauliflower fungus before I got there. I was so stoked just seeing that, and it wasn't even a big cauliflower. It was about this big, but just smelling that. Oh, if you guys are interested in identifying that, go onto the channel. There's a video from about 3 months ago of me teaching you how to identify cauliflower fungus. But it really is one of the best edible fungi that we have. But I didn't eat it, if you remember. So I ate the bluets that I found just afterwards with the lamb in that weird stew that I cooked in a bus station. But yeah, there was a whole point at that bit. There was a bus pulled up and the guy got off in order to have a vape or whatever, and I'm just there like covering the window with my thing like this so he can't see that I've lit a blooming gas stove with my billy can steaming away. But I didn't want to get in too much trouble, so I didn't put that on the video. But yeah, so I didn't eat it, so that came home with me, which I was grateful for. So yeah, I carried that for what, 10 miles after that, 11 miles. But yeah, so that really made the trip. I wish I got there slightly earlier so it wasn't as dark, because I know I could have found some really good stuff, I think, if I had got there in daylight hours and I'd gone just a little bit off piste. But we'll be returning to that patch of woodland because the coastal path goes through it. So it'll be really interesting to see whether it is as productive next time round. And what I really like is, because I hadn't gone round and done any preparation looking at these spots or whatever, is that I could get there next time and there could be nothing, as is the way with foraging and with mushrooms. So it makes it even more exciting, I think. The drain noise collage at the end of the first episode had me howling. Yeah, man. It was so, in my head, I was thinking it's like a horror movie trailer. And I'm so glad I stood there because it was in the middle of the night. I don't even know why I recorded that bit. It's just a bit of delirium. I was so glad, because that sound effect, I then tried to seed it into the end bit of episode 2 when it all went wrong. But yeah, I don't think it worked quite as well as I wanted it to. But obviously, when you're getting stuff out for YouTube, you can't really be too picky about the edit. Had I infinite time, I probably would have made that last segment a little bit better, but that's by the by now. It is what it is. It said what it needed to say, but yeah, that sound sort of gets threaded through all of the night vision footage, because I needed a way of sort of illustrating what was going on inside. It's the thing of when you watch footage back of yourself, I knew what was going on in here, and it was not okay. And I know it sort of looked the way that it looked, like a little bit Blair Witchy, but it was hard to convey the emotion, I think, that I was feeling. Because the thing that I found is when you do long distance stuff with other people, they can keep you elevated. They can keep your mind from wandering too far downwards, and they can get you further. And that's the power of sort of community and having people around you. But when you're on your own, you have to be that person. So yeah, I was not okay going up that last hill. I'd lost it. My head had gone, which again is pretty abnormal for me. But the truth of the matter is that I had no one next to me to be like, stop now, you've done well. All I had was my own voice reverberating like that drain noise in the back of my head going, come on, mate, you've only gone 20 miles today. Bullying myself. So yeah, it was hard to convey on the film. So I tried to do that by seeding in that like sound effect towards the end, but I don't think it was as effective as it could be. But yeah, all learning, isn't it? Looking into work like that is good for income, but is so important to take those little breaks regularly. Yeah, I think so. For me, it's just getting me set up for this year, because this year I'm teaching more stuff in the real world. I'm, teaching more courses, traveling places, meeting people, doing more of that sort of stuff, which takes logistical time. So I have been working a lot, but so I have a more structured and beneficial work environment going forward. So I'll be worth it. Don't worry about me. I'll be all right. I do take breaks. I come in here and do all my plants and things, so you don't have to worry too much. How did you defrost when you got back? Shower or hot bath? So if you watch the last episode back and you see that bit in the car going along the military road, that sound is the sound of the heating on full blast, because I was shivering. You can see it in the last shot of me there with, I've got my radio here like this, and I say, I'm going to have to go home. I was panicking at that point, and I never panic. Like panic, I don't panic. There was, at that point, I'd got in touch with Abby via the radio, and I had told her that I needed to go, but I'd left it. Let's get into it. Right. So after I'd lost my head and you saw that segment of me underneath the bush, I was really tempted to sleep there, but I knew that I couldn't. For many reasons, partly because it's owned by the National Trust. I don't want to condone people sort of wild camping on National Trust land. Realistically, at that point, if I'd have fallen asleep there, I would have been more exposed to the elements. I would have been in more danger, and it would have been harder for people to get to me. So there was real exhaustion there. That's another segment of footage that there are some bits that I wasn't comfortable showing because of how ill I looked. You know what I mean? It was difficult to edit it and like go back. But that's when it started to go wrong. I managed to get myself up again, and then I managed to get myself towards the sort of cliff line and then down into Allen Bay. So after Allen Bay, it goes up onto the downs, and this stretch of downs on the cliff, if you've ever Googled the Isle of Wight, you'll know what the Needles looks like. It is sort of like chalk rock stacks off the side of these huge sort of chalk cliffs. So I had to get from the point of the island to Freshwater Bay, and it's longer than you think it is. I think it's something like 4 miles. Actually, it can't be that. I can't remember, but it is longer than you think, and it is exposed, and it is dark, like really dark up there. So what had happened was, as I was coming down into Allen Bay, it started raining, and it wasn't forecast. I thought I would be able to, like, the severity of it wasn't forecast. You'll notice previously I said I can feel it in the air, blah, blah, blah. It was meant to be light showers, but we had it coming sideways, and I put off putting my bin bag over my rucksack. And that was possibly the worst mistake, because that orange bag that I put my sleeping bag in, that you'll remember from the preparations video, was not waterproof, or at least not waterproof enough. So my sleeping bag got damp at that point. I then put my bin bag over it and managed to get myself a little bit further, but at that point the damage had been done. And yeah, I got up on top of the cliff line there, and I tried to walk as far away from the edge of the cliff. It's quite wide, but as far away from the edge of the cliff as I could, because I was starting to drift like the day before. I was not a happy boy. I stuck on a podcast to then sort of put next to my ear, so I had something to focus on that wasn't the sound of the wind, because that was starting to drive me mental. And yeah, it was difficult. I had like a whole sounds melodramatic, but when you haven't eaten and you are that tired, I had like a crisis of personality up there. Like, who do you think you are? um, yeah. So I wandered and I managed to get to the Tennyson Monument and then, yeah, from the Tennyson Monument, I managed to get down the hill, which again is still quite a way, into Freshwater Bay, just limping. And after getting down off of the hill, I was fixated on getting into that little shelter that I knew was there. But in my head, it had perspex windows, right? So then the wind wouldn't have been as much of an issue. So I limped into there. I could see the lights of the Albion Hotel and a bloke fishing. And I thought, if it all goes wrong, at least he'll be there for a few hours and I can shout. You know what I mean? I've always got that. So I got my sleeping bag out. I realized it was wet. I did a piece to camera and then I just passed out, as in gone. I lost consciousness. And when I woke up, I was cold, like I had got damp. And it was because there were no windows in the front of that thing. You saw the state of the sea, and the wind had blown in all of the salt spray and had got me damp. And my body temperature had plummeted. And I tried to warm myself up. This was the point that I started to really worry, is because I couldn't warm myself up. I tried all of the things that I needed to try. I was running up and down, you know, tucking my hands inside my coat like this. Someone mentioned on the comments of the video saying you need some waterproof clothing. I mean, I'm pretty sure people have been wearing heavy wax jackets for longer than anything else. The thing that made it really, really bad was that all of my feet and legs were wet, and also my head. So I'd lost a lot of heat from there. Core heat was, you know, I guess okay. But yeah, I woke up. I did that piece to camera where I was like, I'm gonna have to call it. This is so sad. But then I left it a little bit and then called Abby. And that's when it went wrong, because I started shivering uncontrollably, you know, and it started getting to the point where my body was shaking, like, and there was no way that I could stop it. I was cold. And that's the closest I've been to like a dangerous situation like that before. So I'm really grateful for my girlfriend coming and evacuating me. I couldn't have done more. That was the point of no return. There is no way that I could have slept through that night and it not been dangerous, and then carried on the day after. And I had every intention of going back first thing in the morning, which again is a stroke of madness. After all of that, I really wanted to go back. And it was that day, the day after, when my feet were sort of, you know, weeping pus and being all ruined. That's when I felt it. And I was so upset. And I just wanted to be there, finishing the walk on the coastline and making it back to that bench. But I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. But like I say, it's a learning thing. Having watched the footage back, I understand that people probably would have dropped out much earlier than me. And there's some dignity in that. And all of the comments and stuff that you guys have been making on the video, they've meant a lot about sort of dealing with failure. I'm quite used to dealing with failure in life. And I'm really quite philosophical about it. It doesn't mean that I don't feel it, but I understand the learning that goes with these things. But yeah, it just means next time round, no surrender. Right, let's get back to some comments. Dan, hello, mate. How are you? I'll definitely put a telescopic fishing rod in with my gear, mate, as I would imagine having many opportunities to fish on the way, few lures or feathers. That is a thing that I'm going to change for next time. There will be some form of fishing equipment, because that is the best way that I can get calories. I mean, you know that I can't catch fish for anything, but there's always a chance. So yeah, there will be a way of fishing. I'm going to do it the field study way, though. It's not going to be as easy as just taking a telescopic fishing rod, I don't think. But yeah, I use it as a teaching opportunity, so I can teach you guys a few tricks and tips. But yeah, so next time I'm going to focus a little bit more on fishing and coastal foraging and stuff. Hopefully we'll have a dry spell before, and the sea won't be completely full of sewage and foaming and stinking as I go around. In fact, I'm thinking of maybe next time around doing it and like donating the money to a water charity or something. You know what I mean? Like doing a fundraiser. But yeah, we shall see, because it was saddening to see. You could visually see the sewage pollution in certain spots. It's like that bit in Bembridge. So the reason that I was going to camp there first off, if you were here earlier on in the live stream, and the reason that I caved and got a sausage roll is because I'd got there at low tide. There at low tide, there are some things that I could have eaten, and I know that because I used to work. I used to work in a pub, literally just off the beach, so I know that stretch of coastline really, really sort of intimately. I knew that I would be all right, but then looking at the map and the sewage outlet that goes out into Bembridge Harbour and all of the other ones they'd been going for hours. There were discharge events like over and over again. So it would not have been safe for me to forage for bivalves there, because of like pollution risk. And I didn't want to risk having like dysentery for Christmas Day. You know what I mean? Can you imagine trying to explain that to the family? So yeah, I am definitely going to focus a little bit more on some of the other things that I could do in order to get calories and food. But I'm going to have to do it in my own way, which some of you may think is stupid, but you know, stupid is what makes makes things enjoyable. Little hobo reel setup. That's more like it, Black Dog. I like your thinking. I don't think it sounds melodramatic. Just relieved you got home. Cheers, Kevin. It means a lot. And yeah, and thank you for your support, like along the way as well. And that goes for the rest of you guys that are channel members as well. Like, thank you for you know, like responding to the updates and helping me, you know, keep my head going when I was around doing it. Because yeah, the guys who are field study members and, you know, pay a little bit of money each month, they get extra stuff. And part of that with this was they get some more behind the scenes stuff as I'm going around. So if that sounds like something that's interesting to you, then you can sign up wherever the link is. But yeah, like it was important that I got home. And yeah, I'm glad it unfolded the way that it did. I had such a great adventure. And I was so glad I documented it and managed to take you guys with me. That's the main thing. Like, even when I am old, like really old, I will have that footage and my kid will have that footage and just the fun and stuff, and I'll be able to relive it. So I'm glad of it from that perspective as well. So yeah. Your body was saying hell no the next day. Yeah, you're not wrong. What did I eat? I think I ate like a whole tub of clotted cream. My body was fantasizing about ice cream like the entire way around, which was really weird. We don't have ice cream in the house really. So yeah, I went and got some clotted cream the day after. Delicious. Oh, gorgeous it was. The first ice cream parlor on fish and chip shop, the challenge is over for me. Man, you wouldn't believe. Like Shanklin, where my head was, you know, starting to hurt. I walked past just next to the arcade. There's this ice cream parlor thing that has about 70 different ice cream flavors. And that's why you see me sort of like walking on the pavement and, you know what I mean? Oh, just try not to look over is the main thing. Because yeah, like you can even tell when I got into Shanklin, the footage of them candy canes and then just filming that fiberglass ice cream thing, you can definitely tell that there was calorie deficit going on somewhere in that brain, making those sort of filming decisions for me. Some say this is dangerous and irresponsible to do and wrong time of year too. Yeah, I mean, people say all sorts of stuff from the comfort of their houses. I'm different to most people. You know, some people are different, and that's me. And I think that is to my merit in many ways. And you guys get to live it vicariously, so you don't have to do any of this stuff. But yeah, like I say, calculated risk. I knew what I was doing. Also, the thing is, I said not to do this, and I don't recommend this challenge. I don't at all. I have a lot of knowledge. I know it didn't come across that much on the video because there was all the adventure stuff, but there was no point in that journey where I would have been worried about there not being anything to eat, you know? It's just the fact of the not being able to forage for it and film it and do all of this sort of stuff made it difficult. If I were to stop in one place and if I were very motivated to do so and all of this sort of stuff, I have the knowledge that could, have seen me right. And also, if worse came to worse, I am on the Isle of Wight. I'm not in the Arctic Circle or anything. So if it really did get dangerous, I could have got myself out of that by, going in someone asking for help. There are lots of people around. But yeah, I don't know. Some people are meant to do this sort of stuff, I think. Really old when you hit 40. Not that far off now, Kevin. But yeah, I don't know. Eventually my knees will give out. That's a given. And I'll look at these things like, yeah, do you remember when I did all of that in a couple of days? It's like even me thinking in retrospect about how I used to be able to just drop everything and then go further than everyone else. Even thinking about it in retrospect, I'm thinking back however many years. So in a certain amount of years, I'll look back at this and be like, yeah, but what were you worried about? You could do all of that just off the drop of the hat. You know what I mean? So yeah, I don't know. Your videos are good to watch, says Rosie Lee. Thank you very much. I'm glad you enjoy them. There's loads more coming up this year. We're going to do a nice mixture between slower stuff, challenges, identification, all of this sort of stuff that makes field study the thing that it is. So a good balance between enjoyable things, information heavy things, and just fun stuff. So keep watching. It's going to be a good year, I think. Built different. Yeah, I guess. Did I just say that? Jeez. Do you think caffeine withdrawal could have played a factor? I do, potentially. But think about my relationship with caffeine now. I have a coffee every day. I didn't have a coffee that day. So that is, it's a very limited data set, but it could be a thing. So like I was saying earlier, next time around, what I might do is get some of that caffeine gum. So I can, if I get a headache again, I can test whether it is caffeine withdrawal. If it goes away, then all I've had is some caffeine. And, I haven't really ruined the challenge. So, yeah. Are there any caffeine mimics you could forage? Not really. Most of the coffee substitutes that we teach people about, they don't have any caffeine in. You'll read in some blog posts and stuff because goosegrass, cleavers, Gallium aperine is in the same family technically as coffee. Some people say it's got caffeine content, but negligible, man. You wouldn't feel it. If you're a coffee drinker, there's no way microdosing on caffeine like that is going to even touch the sides. So yeah, as far as stimulants and stuff are concerned, forageability wise, if my body is sort of attuned to caffeine, there isn't anything that I can pick out the hedgerow that will, do the same thing. My body's always going to miss the caffeine, if you know what I mean. So yeah, Maybe that, or maybe I'll just sort of wean myself off over a period of time beforehand. But yeah, certainly didn't help. Um, Roasted dandelion roots. Yeah, I mean, they can taste pretty coffee-like. Yeah, the butcher's broom seeds, like I said, you can find a recipe for that on who did it? Robin Harford, eatweeds.co.uk, or I think there's also a reference to it on Galloway Wild Foods, Mark's page. So yeah, if you're interested in butcher's broom coffee, which tastes more coffee-like than lots of the other coffee substitutes, then yeah, go and check that out. But yeah, how's the blisters? The well-seasoned one. Hello, welcome to the chat. They are okay. Like they've healed pretty much. My toenail is like a horrible wine red color. The back of my heel is purple and calloused, and the one on my second toe is like a little bit. Well, that one hasn't healed that much, but they're good. I could go around again. It's fine. The thing was the one on the back of my foot. It got infected. And that was my own fault. You saw the bad decisions that I made along the way that led to that. But like that wasn't good. It was all sort of like itchy and throbbing and took ages to heal because of that. So I did a number on myself. I think I'll probably be taking some Compeed with me next time, which is something I didn't do. I found that one of the worst things when I did it. Compeed saved the day. Yeah, like the day after my dad turned up, he went round to the pharmacist and he got me a packet of blister plasters. He's just like, wear these. And I was still hobbling around because I was in a lot of pain, but it alleviated the rubbing on the back of my foot, which I was very grateful for. So yeah, then it was just, treating the infection, salt bath and all of that sort of stuff. But you live and you learn, don't you? Really. And it's a lesson that I've learned probably in my teenage years, is that you need to clean wounds and blisters if you're doing, things where they get dirty and could get infected. But sometimes, even though you've learned the lesson, you can still make the mistake over and over again. It's what it means to be human. Compeed saved the day. Yeah, like I think next time I'm going to take a better first aid kit. Things that did work out well is that water filter, really, really good. Lots of the water sources I was drinking from, I'm quite happy to drink from on my own, but I'm a bit feral. So I wanted to show the filtration process for you guys. Also, like kids can be watching, and I mean, water safety is a whole nother subject, which I can, tackle in a video at some point. But lots of the places where I was, especially on the south coast, getting water wild, from the springs and stuff, I'm quite happy to drink from them unfiltered. But that's a personal preference thing, and like I say, I have a little bit of a strange relationship with stuff like that, so I don't really mind. But that filter did work a treat. It's so small and fits in your backpack, and I recommend getting one, even if it just sits in your backpack, and because if it's the middle of the night and you can't find anywhere to get water, then that is the worst thing imaginable. But yeah, so better first aid kit for next time, a little fishing kit maybe, a better pair of shoes, one that I haven't shrunk the left-hand side one of stupidly the night before. But yeah. Did my parents teach me any foraging, or was it all self-motivated learning? It's a mixture of both, actually. So my dad is... he brought us up in the Scouts, right? So he's from South London, grew up on a council estate, and he went to Scouts. And in Scouts, they took him out camping. It was his first sort of exposure to nature, I guess, as people call it now, the landscape, as I like to call it. And yeah, and he fell in love with it. So through Scouts, he wanted us to learn more about that sort of thing. So I was brought up in scouting, and I learned bits and pieces of foraging from him through that. So you guys have probably heard the story before, some of you guys that have been with me on live streams. But yeah, so he taught me things like hawthorn leaves. He taught me things like, what else? Yarrow for cleaning cuts and wounds. Could have used some of that. Some are sort of like the basics and stuff. And then from there, I just got a passion for it. They got me this book. Ooh, this is his copy of Food for Free. Ooh. So if you've been on one of my foraging walks, you recognise it because I always take it with me as a good luck charm. But this is my first sort of exposure into just the sheer amount of things that are available to eat. So it is Food for Free by Richard Mabey. I recommend this book for anyone, but not this copy of it. This was pre photographs going into like the paperback of this book, so it's just got lots of lovely illustrations. So yeah, quite dangerous actually. But yeah, anyway, so that sort of set me on the path, and then the rest of it has just sort of been personal obsession and learning. And I mean, my other hobbies, I guess, alongside it, sort of like bushcraft, camping, all of this sort of stuff that keeps me outside. Foraging went alongside it, so I just added to my knowledge over the years. But one of the things that I've always loved is cooking and food. So like in my teenage years, we used to, me and some of the boys from the village, when we used to have parties down at the beach, we'd like make burgers, and we're obsessed with river cottage and all of this sort of stuff. So obviously foraging is all part of that, so it just sort of went alongside it. And I've added to it, and here I am 33 years later, and I teach it, which is a lovely thing. So lots of it is self-motivated. I learn the same way that I walk, basically, is that I will just go at it until I'm exhausted and can't learn anymore. So you when I'm in my sort of deep dive phases, you'll find me with my head in literature, just going straight at it. And I've been like that since I was really, really young. So this is one of the subjects that when I get going on it, I sort of do big deep dives on, which is how I know so much, I think. So yeah, it's a good thing. I try and sometimes make the amount of knowledge that I have up here sort of more palatable, because I understand that not everyone learns at the speed that I do. So yeah, that's why I make the videos nice and slow. I pace everything nicely, and I think it gives a nice reflection of the landscape as well. But yeah, like I've just added to it over the years. Self-taught, basically. But then, my parents did. Well, I'm lucky enough that my parents kept me outside for most of my childhood, because they moved me down here when I was 6, and I basically just went feral. Me and my brother charging around the countryside, just doing stuff that boys do. You know what I mean? So I'm really sort of grateful for that. Anyway, what have we got in here? Super cold when I did it. Apart from shankling to the needles are just frozen solid. Yeah, you did that all in one day, didn't you? If you haven't seen it, you went round in the same week as me, I think, but you went, or maybe did you go the week after Christmas? Because that was when the temperature had started to dip. So those were the days where I was like, I need to go and finish the walk. And then it was just like, it was really cold. But yeah, it was super cold. But yeah, go and watch the Well Seasoned one. Has like a video series of walking around it. It's like a guide to walk around the island. Tells you where lots of the coastal diversion paths are. So lots of the stuff that you won't get from my silly videos, you'll get from his. So yeah, go and watch that, I reckon. Some suggestions for your first aid kit: Pro Plus, antiseptic cream, and glucose tablets. I could do the whole walk on just that, I reckon. It would sort of ruin the purpose of it, though. There's a few places to get water between Cowes and Ventnor, but after that, there's pretty much nothing. Yeah, like the West Wight, I was really surprised that there wasn't a water fountain in Yarmouth. I had to go into the shop. That's a whole nother story. I had to go into the shop in order to get some water in Yarmouth. But I was really surprised that there wasn't a drinking fountain in there, considering, like the way that it is. I had considered going into the pub, into the week, and having a chat with the bloke there, because some of the guys from the brewery know him and said nice guy. But in the end, I thought, I'm just going to buy myself some water, and then I'm going to get going. Rather than take the camera into the pub and then do the thing, then try and be like, is that okay to film you? So then it makes sense for the story. He's like, okay, yeah, maybe not. So I went into the shop and missed out on recording possibly the most interesting conversation I've had in a while with that bloke that was talking about sort of like he was talking about sort of sacred places and landmarks and stuff in the landscape and the distances between them and the geometry between them. Uh, Not something that I believe in, I don't think, but he was really um, you could tell he'd spent his life researching it, you know? So, yeah, I don't know, the enthusiasm. I could have stayed there and talked to him for ages because of the enthusiasm of it. But yeah, that was I really regret not, recording it, but I think it would have been unfair for me to put that out anyway. But yeah, it was a cool thing that happened in Yarmouth. Uh, yeah, Black Dog went to Scouts as well. Scouts is good. I mean, yeah, I don't know what it's like now, but back when I was in Scouts, I don't know, my Scout group was, like I said in the episode, my Scout group was a pretty free place. You know what I mean? We were allowed to just be a self-regulating group of boys, and I think because of that, we have all learnt stuff better than other people. You know what I mean? There were boundaries, but we were allowed to regulate as a community of boys and test limits and do all of this sort of stuff, and sort of like a safe environment where things could go wrong. You know what I mean? And I think that's the best learning that you can ever get as a human being. I think you can be told enough, but I think Scouts is really really good for that, or used to be. I don't know what it's like now. I have to wait for my kid to grow up and then I can send him. Jem Collins edition has more pictures and stuff. Yeah, even the Jem Collins version of it these days is really good. Forager's calendar is good. If any of you guys are watching and haven't watched my video on beginner foraging books, I'm looking over here because this is my reference library, or part of my reference library. I've got some in the house as well, but lots of my foraging books are up there, and I have a video on my channel of the ones that I recommend for beginners. And there's lots of good literature out there. One of my favorite ones of the last couple of years is my mate Danny's book, which is called The Forager's Almanac. That's really, really good. It's got recipes and stuff in it, and it's sort of like really nicely laid out. So I'd get that if I were you. Also, Lewis from UK Wildcrafts. I haven't got his book yet, but it is a comprehensive guide. And I really, well, I wouldn't expect anything less from Lewis. But yeah, I've heard amazing things about it, so maybe get that as well. There's loads of good foraging literature at the moment. I think where there seems to be more interest in it within the last sort of 7 years, I've noticed it. Anyway, there's more interest, so I think it's easier for people to get books published about the subject, which is good because it means that there is sort of diversity in the literature, which is nice. So yeah. Anyway, what we got? A couple of weeks before, Neville went over -2. Man, that must have been a hard old slog. He did well to get around though. -2. Eesh. That is, multiple layers. Did you have a down jacket on? Yeah. I wouldn't have attempted like sleeping out in that minimal a sleep setup if it was that cold. That's silly. But yeah, I'm glad you did it. I really enjoyed the videos as well, man. Thanks for the effort that you put into them. It's really, really good. I think and you'll be able to do them again as soon as all the land slips and there's lots of diversions. But I think it's really, really nice having a sort of like a visual guide to the coastal path. The first time I did it in its entirety, I remember getting so confused in places. I didn't have a smartphone for maps. I just had my little dumb phone on me. You know what I mean? So yeah, like it is really nice having sort of like a visual sort of walkthrough of it. So yeah, check it out. It's really, really good. We didn't have a choice when we were kids. If it wasn't pouring, we went out. 3-bed terrace house with 8 of us and a dog. Yeah, like you would have driven your parents mental if you'd have all stayed in the house. You know what I mean? But yeah, it sounds like you're better off for it. But yeah, Cornwall in the 60s was an adventure in itself. Oh, a dream. I'd love to sit down and listen to you talk about it, Kevin. That would be a nice evening. There was a scheme going on a few years ago on the island that people would let you fill your water for free, but not sure it's still going. Interesting. So a thing that happened, I think, on the 2nd of January. A community group in Freshwater unveiled a new water fountain right next to where I threw in the towel. So that's one to remember for next time. There is a water fountain in Freshwater Bay that you can fill up your water at. So yeah, that's really useful information, which is good. I'd love to see you do the River Airway one day. Where's that? Truly beautiful and very foraging friendly, but it's a long drive away. River Air. Sorry if we've been through this before, but where is that? Let me do a Google. Scotland. Ayrshire, obviously. Joseph, you are such a fool. It is getting late though now, guys. But yeah, I think I'd love it too. That would be really, really cool. Yeah, I met a bushcraft person from up in Scotland a few years back on the skate retreat, and she has said if I'm ever up there that we can sort of do something together, which would be cool. Jess, if you're watching, hello. Yeah, yeah, I'd love to come up and do some foraging stuff up in Scotland. I'd love to link up with some people from Scotland that are part of the Association of Foragers as well. I'm now a member of the Association of Foragers, by the way. But there's loads of good teachers and instructors up there that I'd like to, get in contact with and have a beer with. It would be good to, meet up with these people. But yeah, I don't know. I might see if I can get Abby to take me on a road trip up to Scotland. That'd be cool. She'd love it as well. It's one of the places that she's always wanted to go. So maybe we can make it happen. Maybe when my kid's just a little bit older. Oh, anyway, guys, I think I covered most of what went wrong. Most of. Like I say, lots of it was self-inflicted and preparation-based, but I don't regret a single bit of it. It was worth it for the adventure. And what a glorious adventure it was. And like I say, we'll be doing it again next time in a few weeks' time. I've kept that quite vague because I obviously need to wait for a weather window. If it goes down to -2 again, I don't know if I'll be doing it. But yeah, so I've been preparing physically, going out on bike rides and stuff until this cold happened. So next time it should be more focused on getting calories and foraging and seeing what stories unfold along the way. And I'm really looking forward to it. If you want to have updates before the videos are launched, then you can always become a YouTube member for like the price of a pint of beer or an expensive coffee a month. And yeah, you get an extra video a week where I just show you some of the stuff that I've got going on down here. We do book club and I show you some of the books that I'm reading, all of that sort of stuff. So you can become a member. And next time I go around, you'll get updates along the way. You got little shorts and stuff this time. I'm going to try and do more next time. Anyway, yeah, if you're interested in that, then do that. If not, then you'll get to see the adventure in its entirety anyway a few weeks later. But until next time, and I'm going to be doing live streams again, I reckon, because this has been a whole lot of fun. So thank you to everyone in the chat. Thank you to everyone watching. If you've tuned in at any point along this, I realize I've been talking for 2 hours now. Yeah, Kevin's just reminded me 2 hours straight. Sorry, chat the hind legs off a donkey. Right. I love you all. Thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you for your support, your kindness, for everything. And I hope to see you out foraging at some point. Until next time, take care.